Heights City Council to order. First item up is Pledge Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next is approval of the agenda. We have one addition, the consent agenda L, approve assignment and assumption agreements for the Oak Park Commons LLC building sales.
Also, are we supposed to remove item A from the new business?
Oh, that's right.
With that, those amendments, I will make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is council and staff reports. Anybody have anything? I had a meeting with the fire hall commission or group last week discussing options on that. Nothing really of substance. And then we had a King Plant quarterly update today. That's all I got. Jake, you got anything?
Yeah, very good. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just really quickly here, getting into budget time. So if there's any projects that the council has, ideas, please throw them my way. We'll plan to have our first discussion here at the next work session of a capital plan review, and then get into the nitty gritty of the budget, probably the following work session meeting. So, thank you.
Jennifer?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Recycling Award winner for the month of June, Matt and Stephanie Wieland at 5649 Ozark Avenue North. They were chosen as the Recycling Award winner, and they are to receive either a smoke detector or fire extinguisher for their recycling efforts.
Thank you. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just two quick community outreach notices. We'll be out at the Presbyterian Church on July 16th in conjunction with Washington County Social Services. That's the point in time outreach for homeless. And then we'll be out with Botwell's Landing at the Gable side this Thursday. We'll be out there at 10:30. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All righty. Visitors and public comment. This is the opportunity for the public to address the council with any questions, concerns. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes in length. Okay, then we'll move on to consent agenda. And I have been informed from our city administrator and our city attorney that I don't have to read everything. So we would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Liljegren?
Yes.
Councilmember Rump?
Yes.
Councilmember Swenson?
Yes.
And Mayor Doherty.
Yes. Okay, we have one public hearing this evening. This is a request for a temporary noise ordinance variation and food truck authorization for Stillwater Bowl for July 10th, 2026.
Mayor and Council, Stillwater Bowl has once again sent in an application for a concert at their venue this summer. That'd be July 10th. They are asking for a deviation from the noise ordinance to allow their concert to go until 11 p.m. And they are also asking for 2 food trucks for that event, just for that evening. The notice of the public hearing has been published in the Stillwater Gazette, and all properties within 500 yards have been notified. No public comments have been received.
All right. Then we will open the public hearing. Anybody on for this matter?
I'll move to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
Chief, has there been any complaints from this in the past?
Nothing recently. I think there was one noise complaint that was many years ago. They hire an off-duty officer at that event. It's been fairly well contained. It's an older crowd. So we've been.
Like I say, we're fairly close to it, and it's been no harm to us, and you hardly even hear it. They've always been very respectful of the neighborhood.
I enjoy listening to it from my patio, personally. So with that, I will make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Is this a roll call or? Sure. Yeah, okay.
Could I just clarify, are you approving the food trucks and the noise deviation, or are you doing two separate motions?
Would you like two separate or just one?
I think one is fine.
Then we'll do both.
Okay.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Liljegren?
Yes.
Councilmember Runk?
Yes.
Councilmember Swanson?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Okay, then we'll move on to new business. Item A was struck. Item B, rezoning R1 single-family residential and primary final subdivision plat for 5676 Oak Green Avenue North.
Thank you, Mayor. Daniel Licht with the Planning Company. I'm here substituting for Scott. I think it was about 16 years ago I was here last, so the night that you approved our contract. So it's good to be back as Scott's going out the door. But anyway, on to the application. The mayor identified the site at 5676 Oak Green Avenue. The applicant is Jamie Junker, who's also the owner of the property. The site is 2.91 acres in area. It consists of 2 parcels. There's a single-family home on one property. The surrounding uses include single-family homes to the east and south of the subject property. To the south of the property is also a linear park that separates the neighborhood from the subject property. The proposal from the applicant is to rezone the property from open space conservation district to single-family residential district for the purpose of subdividing the 2 existing parcels into 3 lots. They construct 2 new homes on the property, so there's a net increase of 2 homes. The 2018 comprehensive plan guides the property for low-density residential uses. The zoning map would, or the zoning district would require each lot be 10,400 square feet in area and 80 feet in width. The smallest of these 3 lots is basically 3 times the size of the minimum requirements in the R1 district. So the use complies with the guidance of the comprehensive plan. The subdivision complies with the requirements of the zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance as outlined in the planning report included in your packet. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 11th to consider the request and take comments from the public as well as the applicant and city staff. The public hearing was closed, and after which the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval. City staff has prepared Resolution 2606-31 and Ordinance 2026-40102 approving the application subject to 7 conditions, one of which includes that the lot lines be redrawn so that Lot 2 does not access Oak Green Avenue. The other point I would make is that the action requested pertains to the proposed subdivision in front of you included on these plans. Any change to that would require going back to the Planning Commission and starting the process over, including a new public hearing. And staff is available for any questions you may have.
Mayor and Council, too, I just wanted to recognize we did have an email that came in here later this afternoon that we printed off and is before you, and happy to address that or discuss that. Here's a part of your conversation this evening.
So I know back when we did make that a linear park concept, the whole idea was to have separation from businesses and residential and trails and residential, and keep that buffer zone in there. And the letter we got today from Mr. Marquardt, I can really respect what he's asking for that 20 to 25 foot barrier between the homes that are out there right now, rather than, just approving it without that barrier, because that's what the whole concept was with that. They have that separation between residents and trails and residents and roads, and the whole linear park idea.
I agree with you. I actually was talking to the city administrator before our meeting too of how do we preserve it, because we've lost trees in that trail system with the emerald ash, and it's not as thick as it used to be. I've told this applicant since the beginning that that trail is very special in Oak Park Heights, because we have so much trail that isn't covered, and you have this little forest in the middle of the city that's pretty, and I enjoy it when I run it. So I do think having, for one, having our city arborists look at maybe doing some replanting on a city property, but also having some conditions or an easement that says we have some preservation here, that you can't take these trees out, so that the buffer between residents is preserved, but also that trail kind of keeps its character a little bit.
So we're talking about adding 20 feet besides the linear park as far as width?
I'd kind of reserve it to, because I know we got the easement idea maybe a little bit belated, and I don't know how much room we'll have on all the areas. So it might be something we have staff look at in terms of how far we go in on the easement from, if we measure it from the trail, because I don't know, I think where they have the retention pond, we might run into some issues in space, so we might want to give staff a little bit of flexibility on how they draft that easement.
And I talked about this with your city administrator prior to the meeting tonight, and, you know, two concepts we talked about. One was conservation easement to preserve trees, and the second was just a condition in the conditional use permit itself that would require preservation of trees. Personally, I think the better route might just be a condition that restricts the reduction of those trees in those areas. Conservation easement is a statutory process, and it's pretty specific. Typically, that conservation easement is granted in favor of and transferred to the DNR or to the state or county. It's not typical for cities necessarily to obtain conservation easements, and there's a lot of rules and restrictions and requirements with it. I think it would be a lot simpler to just have a condition in the conditional use permit itself in that regard.
Could we enforce those conditions long-term, though? I mean, if we're adding 3 properties, he gets a new resident in one of those homes, they get the property, could they just take the trees out the next day?
Well, the conditional use permit runs with the land, and it's
Okay.
binding upon all future owners of the property. And so it's, I think, very similar to an easement in that regard, that it does run with the land, as opposed to the conditional use permit just doesn't go away when someone sells property to a new owner.
Okay.
Okay.
And is that something that you guys would like to draft before we take a vote on it? Or is that something, a condition we can write right now orally with what we have before us?
I think we can, well, it depends, and I like your concept that maybe it needs to be vetted in terms of how wide that area needs to be, or if we are surveying the trees that are there, to be specific about how far into the property it makes sense to have that restriction in place. And so it might be better to defer this, and I can't remember, and Dan may know how much time we have on a 120-day rule at this point. I believe we've extended this out from 60 days to 120 days, but we'd have to look back at the final report here to determine whether our meeting out in late July is still going to keep us in compliance with those rules.
So if we had the permission from the landowner, would that be, if that person would agree to extending it out a little bit more to let us do ours, would that go through like that then?
Yeah, and City Administrator Wright, have you talked to the applicant about this concept of tree preservation?
No, I haven't talked to the applicant about this, just given it came up at this evening right before the meeting, so.
Would it make sense that we table this for the current meeting? Maybe, and I defer to city staff on this, having a tentative meeting scheduled for our second Tuesday of the month, so we can take this up maybe within that deadline, or push it to the actual meeting in July if the applicant allows us that extension, because I'm imagining 2 weeks won't push us over. I don't think we're that tight, typically.
I don't know, can somebody know that?
Yeah, I mean, I think
And what-
the application was submitted in May. I don't see a specific date in the planner's report on full receipt of a complete application. But, well, and we have, there's a cover letter from Mr. Junker on May 5th, 2026. And so I think 120 days, we're still going to be within that out at our July
You
meeting.
know, we could ask Mr. Junker, it'd be okay if we put it off for a little bit.
I didn't, when Mr. Marquardt was at the public hearing, expressed some different issues, so it's a little bit of a surprise that it's coming in so late without the ability to communicate about it.
And I think that's why we're trying to open this up, so we can all get some more information on it. It's a big change, Jamie. I mean, compared to what we had all set it up for. And, you know, I kind of kept my comments quiet after we set it up for Linear Park, and now we're putting entrances coming off of 58th Street. There was no public comment that was said anything against putting access to 58th Street. That's why, you know, I didn't raise my comment on it. It really didn't matter. And, you know, Mr. Marquardt, I got to respect his opinion, because I thought the same thing. And when you look at the map, I thought there was a little bit more buffer than what there was, but it's fairly tight.
Well, and to be fair, again, as I stated earlier, when we first discussed this and I had my first conversation with you when you were looking at the apartment complex, I emphasized the importance of having tree cover between the trail, whatever development you had in the homes. So this is consistent with our conversations that we've been having. So are you amenable to extending out to late July, or is this putting you on the spot too much?
No, I'm willing to work with understanding even the letter. I don't have access to what that request was. It sounds like there's a request.
Mr. Junker, if we could actually have you come up here just so we can have this on audio, if there's going to be engagement between the council and you.
And Mr. Junker, I have a copy of the letter if it is helpful.
Kind of tough to read it on the fly, though.
No, but at least he has it for his records.
I got a question on the, there was mention of changing the lines for Lot 2.
Yes.
To eliminate the access to Oak Green, is that the idea?
Well,
And I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, if I could just comment, Mayor and Council, on that. And I wouldn't necessarily call that access, but adjoinment with Oak Green. So that was an item that came up at the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission vetted that here, so there was concern just from residents about that potentially being a future driveway in a Lot 2, and so there was some issue with that. And so the Planning Commission recommendation would be that that lot line between 1 and 2 is just drawn straight down. There isn't that L that connects to Oak Green.
Yeah. And I have some concerns about that from the standpoint about whether or not that access should actually come from Oak Green. From all. I mean, we've had a number of discussions at council about new curb cuts on 58th Street, and especially new curb cuts on 58th Street on a curve. We all know that that's problems with speed and pulling out there from a safety standpoint as to whether or not all that access should come from behind to Oak Green versus pulling out on a curve or backing out of your driveway into 58th Street, I think has some major safety concerns.
Well, so I'd agree with that. You know, if nothing else, we looked at, the right in, right out on that one development
on
by
the-
Menards.
Yep.
And, I would say that something like that would, if that's where they're going to end up doing the curb cuts, it's going to have to be, because
I asked our city engineer about, or our city administrator about this, who relayed some city engineer stuff.
Yep, ready to comment on that, Mayor and Council. So the city engineer chatted with him about that in detail, and to quote him, it's not ideal to have those accesses on 58th. He said the one silver lining, though, is that they are on 2 and 3, they are farther away from the intersection. You already have one access point that is closer to the intersection. She said that is a silver lining, is that they are further away from the intersection at that point.
The other thing that would do is, if they were to use that for an access, I think that's the exact same area you're talking about, making it to the conservation easement.
Well, yeah, that's why I brought it. I think we'd have to have some discussion there, because that probably would cut into that.
You can't have both. You can't have the access and
The other good thing too, Mayor and Council, or benefit I should say, is, these projects that we've contemplated on 58th Street of, the multifamily one that was proposed adjacent to Menards. This is single family. The vehicle trips are much, much less, yes, very minimal.
I mean, overall, I like the project. I'll put that out there. Whether or not a couple tweaks have to be made but I mean, overall,
It's much better than the prior.
say we got to come up.
I agree with that.
We got to come up with some way of making it work for you.
One
So-
idea, if I may, if we could show the picture again of the map that has the walking trail moving through. I've read the letter, And the walking trail for lots 1 and 2 is in about the midway point of the trail. And that seems very reasonable. On lot 3, to Mr. Marquardt's point, the trail moves over closer to our lot. So we would stipulate tonight that on lot 3, I think we have plenty of room to move back 25 feet and leave those trees. This is my engineer.
Good evening, Dave Nash with Alliant Engineering. I think what he's saying, and agree to the most part, but as someone mentioned, the storm pond wants to be in the natural low area, which is in that corner of the site, and we'd have a problem. It'd take down more trees and create more grading if we had to move the pond out of that low area. So I would ask, I'm part of that lot, I think you ask for a bigger buffer, that's fine, but have it not impact the pond area, because that's the natural area we want the pond to be.
I feel like this is something we can't do tonight, and we're going to need to have staff assess the right distance and have them work with you on how that's going to impact the drainage, just so we're not creating more problems approving something that's not fully thought
So
through.
basically, we'd like to table this till our next meeting, if that's,
That's okay?
Let's do it. Let's
Okay.
work with that. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jamie.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Somebody want to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll table. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item C, amend the conditional use permit for signage Walmart, 5815 Norrell Avenue North.
Thank you, Mayor. So Walmart is proposing changes to their signs at their store. They have existing sign plan approved in May of 2021. With that, they're proposing to replace existing signs and then add 14 additional signs with an additional area of 105 square feet. That brings the total number of signs to 24 signs and 610 square feet. The additional signs is what requires the amendment of the conditional use permit. Generally speaking, the number and area of the signs proposed is limited when you consider the scale of the building. So city staff uses change as appropriate. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 11th to consider the request and take public comment. The public hearing was closed. The Planning Commission voted to recommend approval, subject to 3 conditions. City staff has prepared Resolution 26-06-33 approving the requested conditional use permit amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item D, approve agreement with WSB LLC for city planner services.
Mayor, Council, good evening. It's kind of ironic here. I guess Dan is here tonight, and that was the last time he was here was when we approved a contract with his firm. It's sad to see Scott go, but all good things must come to an end. And so in preparation of that, we prepared an RFP, sent out an RFP, had great response here for city planner services. We selected 5 firms to interview. Consisted of myself, Assistant Pinsky. We had building official Holtman, Councilmember Swanson, Councilmember Johnson. Had a great interview session with those 5 firms. Spent a lot of time trying to get to know them as quickly as we could. We've narrowed it down to WSB. That is a recommendation from the selection committee. The lead planner would be Lori Johnson. Lori's got tremendous experience, worked for the city of Blaine for approximately 24 years, has been at WSB for 5 years, and so has a lot of strong experience both in commercial, residential planning. So she's going to do a great job and fit in really well with our team. And so we're as much as we're going to be sad to see Scott go, Lori's going to be a great person here to take over and is the next city planner for us. And so that's the recommendation before you.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All righty. Next, any other council items or announcements?
Can I just ask the chief, not to put him on the spot, how do people sign up for Night 2 night? Because we don't really have another meeting till like the week before Night 2 night.
Have they, or we started
Or
that?
can
Oh,
people still sign up? Or how should they
definitely,
contact?
yeah. Yep, that starts pretty quickly. So Sergeant Greer will be in charge of that, so there'll be mass coming out for that project, or that event. Yep,
Cool.
thanks.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.